morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hope you're all doing well. Happy Monday morning to everybody. It's a chilly one here in Northern England. But we're going to talk about the Delphi case today. And I've spent the morning updating my PowerPoint presentation, a PowerPoint that I made during Rick Allen's trial. So just want to do a quick synopsis of everything that has been said since the motion to correct errors came out. And in doing that, I think we can get rid of one of the theories that I had. After Libby's phone data came out at the trial, and you'll have heard me, if you've been following my Delphi coverage, you'll have heard me say that Libby's phone data negates, absolutely demolishes the state's theory against Rick Allen. But the state's theory against Rick Allen has now been negated in multiple ways as a result of the information that's come out from the motion to correct errors. But now we've got the Davis letters to contend with as well, and the statements that aren't continue. Look, Ricci Davis is talking, right? Ricci Davis is talking to the defense, but also to people who are getting in contact with him. So most recently, and my live stream yesterday, I read that letter with some difficulty, I might add. But the link to it is in the description box. So if you want to go and read that letter, some people think that Ricci Davis's handwriting is beautiful. And I'm not saying it isn't. I'm just saying, for me personally, I found it very difficult to read. So I do apologize when I was like trying to work out what certain words were yesterday. This is why I brought it to you guys anyway, to help me decipher it. So I think I've got a ways through that letter now. I think I understand all of the words in that letter now. So that's good. That's good. But Ricci Davis is talking. But he's been talking since May of 2017. But people have not believed him. Namely, law enforcement have not believed him. But now he's got an audience. So the fact that the stuff that he was told way back by Ron Logan in 2017 is now seeing the light of day. And it's proving very enlightening. And you've got to be prepared. If you've been bedded in to a particular theory, whether that's Rick Allen did it or whether it's someone else did it, you've got to be prepared to look at all of this new info with an open mind. And I come to any case with a totally open mind. And I've been forced to really examine my own beliefs about this case, because I have never, up until the motion to correct errors, I have never thought that Ron Logan was involved in the murders. I've said this before. I have said that he may have had some knowledge of them that he's been holding back, but I never believed he was directly involved in the murders. And now I am forced to go back on that and say, no, actually, Ron Logan is very much in the frame. Very much in the frame. Because back in May 2017, how would Ricci Davis have known the stuff that Ron Logan told him? And how would Ron Logan have known about the stuff that he told Ricci Davis? This is the thing, back in May 2017, Ricci Davis wouldn't have known the stuff about Libby being like cut in an artery and having a massive bleed. Hell's teeth, none of us knew about that until the trial? Well, we knew that they'd been... We didn't even know. Look, the general public didn't even know that Abby and Libby had their throats cut until the Ron Logan search warrant. When the Ron Logan search warrant came out, we knew that something relating to a bladed weapon was done. And of course, there's been loads of rumours because locals talk. And, you know, some of those locals who were in those search parties who found the girls were talking. From day one, they were talking about the girls having their throats slit. So the rumours were out there, but we'd not officially been told. We'd not been told by correspondence, documents, search warrants, all of that stuff that comes from the official channels. Thank you, Kindness Cake, for the $9.99. Thank you so much. Love my digging. Yeah. This is the thing. You've got to be prepared to change your view. If new evidence comes along, you've got to be prepared to address it in the same way that you would information that supports your theory. You've got to look at new information as, you know, you've got to take a neutral stance. And it's great when information comes out that supports your theory because you go, I knew it. I knew it. But when information comes out that goes against one of your theories, you've got to look at that with the same level of openness and say, hold on a minute, that's a problem for my theory. And I've been, since the Franks came out in September 2023, I've been thinking that the Odinists did it. And I'm still not going to let that go. I'm not going to totally let that go. I'm not. Because of Elvis Fields' confessions. I'm not letting that go. I'm really not letting that go. But what I was forced to do was, and it took me a while, to let go of the possibility that Rick Allen was guilty. Because when Franks came out, I thought, well, okay, I don't know whether Rick's involved. I don't know whether Rick really did it or not. But this is very compelling. And at the very least, this is reasonable doubt. But as time went by, and now we've had the trial, I am absolutely convinced that Rick Allen is factually innocent. I'm absolutely convinced of that now. But as to who actually did it, now things are very much up in the air. But one thing we absolutely know is that Rick Allen is in prison for a crime that he did not commit. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. Anyway, who's in the chat? I'm going to show you my PowerPoint. I'm going to show you what I've been doing. And it'll summarize everything that's been said from the motion to correct errors to the present day. But I have to kind of summarize things for myself, keep things, you know, in order for myself. So I might as well show you what I've been doing. And like I said, there is one theory that I proposed during the trial. Once Libby's phone data came out, I proposed a very possible theory, but we know that can't have happened. So we'll talk about that. But hello, Steph, Aussie TV. Yes, subscribe, it's free. Subscribe, it's free. I've been on a bit of a mission. And I'm on a mission to get to 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So if you watch my channel, but you've not yet subscribed, it is free, then please do so. Because it's only February. I think I can get 17,000 subs in 11 months. I think I can, with your help. Hello, Petunia and Pamela And I Spy, CW, driving back from Manchester. We've got Akira from Alberta, Canada. I'm imagining it's very cold at the moment in Alberta. I'm imagining. It's cold here, so I imagine how much colder it is in Alberta. Hello, We Are Dust, Lisa, Holly. Can't say your name. I still can't say your name. And we got Dark Willow, we got Gemma, we got It Ain't the Butterfly, it's the Tootsie Roll. We got Journey Takes a Trip, we got Claire, we got Carrie, we got Misty, Helen, we got Paper Chaser, Beth, Jazz King, and BGOG. All right. Stop, Michelle. Stop it. I hear you all going, Michelle, stop. All right, I've got to share my whole screen for this, which I don't like doing, but this PowerPoint is too big for me to add it to the slides option that StreamYard gives me, so I've got to do it this way. It's annoying. Entire screen. Here we go. Here we are. All right. So this is the PowerPoint presentation that I started doing during the trial, just to keep everything in order. So we're going to go down. We're going to jump around a little bit, actually. We're going to go down to where I started this morning, which is here. All right. Post-trial revelations. And wasn't the motion to correct errors a revelatory document? The defense have got a very canny way of doing this, of releasing something that you think, shit, I've got to rethink. They're good at that. Frank's one in September 2023 was exactly that for me. And the motion to correct errors. Absolutely. The van, let's briefly talk about the van, because it's the van that actually negates one of the theories that I held. So we'll do that first, and then we can get into Ricci. So what we now know, what the state obviously knew, is that the van did not pass by the Monon High Bridge on the south side at 2:30. For the state's timeline to work, the van, Brad Webber's van, had to go under the Monon High Bridge on the private drive. So Brad Webber's house, or his mother's house, but Brad was staying there, as a private drive, and it goes under the south side of the Monon High Bridge and then goes up a little hill to the Webber property. And that had to pass by the Monon High Bridge at 2:30. We know all of this, don't we, from the trial. The state's theory was supposedly based on Rick Allen's confession. This was Rick Allen's confession that probably was immensely impactful to the jury. Here we go, the most damaging confession that was told to Dr. Monica Waller, his psychologist, who was working with the prosecution. She was working with probably YouTubers. She was a Delphi fangirl. May 3rd, 2023, Rick Allen said this, that he followed the girls to the bridge, having drunk 3 beers. He messed with the gun. That's when the bullet fell out. And then he ordered the girl down the hill, which absolutely, that could not have happened. And I don't even know how the jury didn't pick this up, but that could not have happened because the unspent round was on the north side of the bridge at the crime scene. So this really was a magic bullet. It flew itself from the south side to the north side to nestle in between the bodies in some leaves. Yeah, okay, that really, really happened. Of course it did. And then he heard a van. That's what scared him. That forced him to take the girls from the south side to the north side, where he panicked and slit their throats. Okay. Timeline doesn't work. We know, we absolutely know from Libby's phone data that theory cannot work. Talked a lot about Libby's phone data. Not going to go back to that today. I've got loads of videos on Libby's phone data. But we just did have to do a little bit of a refresher on the confession. All right. Which I believe Monica Waller put in his head. You know, the van being the thing that only the killer would know is absolute nonsense. Because the stuff about Brad Webber's van was in Facebook groups, it was on Reddit subs, it was all over the internet. And a Delphi fangirl like Monica Waller would have known that. Would have known that. But we know that the van did not pass by at 2:30. In 2017, Brad Webber told the cops, and then Brad Webber's mother came online and told social media that Brad only got home at 3:30. So he lied to the cops in 2017. But that's not the point. The point is we now have a time-stamped video. Time-stamped video, 2:44 and 48 seconds. All right, 2:44 and 48 seconds. This van arrives. This van. So what you're looking at here, and I'm going to show you the video in a minute. What you're looking at here is the view from the camera at the Sandifer property, which is a little bit a ways away, but it gives you like a good view of the private drive. So the private drive runs, oh, you can't see my cursor. The private drive runs along here, like this hedge line, tree line here. And then it kind of goes out of view. All right. But you see the van along here. You just about make it out. And that was 2:44. So by the time Brad Webber got to his house, you're looking at just gone 2:45. Too late for the state's theory. Libby's phone stopped moving at 2:32. So the girls had to be over the other side of the bridge on the north side by 2:32, according to the state's theory. They were being killed at 2:32, but the van only came at 2:44. So that in itself is a problem. For the state. Let me just show you. I'll show you that video. I'm sure that many of you will have seen it. Just let me get it up. The link to it is in the Motion to Correct Errors, but it's on Michael Osbrook's channel. Oh, I need it from the link. You can't, you need it from the Motion to Correct Errors link because it's unlisted. Please hold. All right, Motion to Correct Errors. Hold on. I had it up this morning. Yeah, here it is. Here it is. Here it is. Here it is. All right. All right. Here we go. I'll do exhibit 3B. Exhibit 3B, because that's zoomed in. So you'll see it along here. There it is. That's Brad Webber's van. It's a white Econoline van. So 244. By the time it gets home, it's going to be like 246, 247. And Brad Webber's phone pings at 250 at his home. There it is. So gets home, gets his phone out, interacts with his phone, and then the phone pings off the tower at 250. So it all fits together quite nicely. He gets home, interacts with his phone tells the world that he's home. Okay, that's clear. That is clear, isn't it? Yes. All right. Okay. Now, just want to show you this. This was my alternate theory that I had during the trial, which can't be right. This can't be right. This is what I mean. You've got to be open-minded. Don't bed into any one theory. But this made total sense to me once we got this phone data from Libby's Apple Health app. It made sense to me that the girls have been taken, like abducted and taken and brought back later. Like taken alive and then brought back later and killed. But it can't be right. So, and there's a very obvious reason. Now we've seen that video, there's a very obvious reason why this can't be right. And it's because we don't see any vehicles. On the Sandy Firs camera, we don't see any vehicles leaving. Like the entire time frame between 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. was looked at by the defense to make sure that Brad Webber's van didn't come in, go out, come in again later, or come in earlier and then go out and then come in again, or there was no other vans that came in. But there wasn't. So this can't be right. They can't have been taken away, at least from the south side. They can't have been taken away from the south side. So 700 meters takes you to about a third of the way across the bridge. From the trailhead to about a third of the way across the bridge, that's 208. 414 meters from 208 to 218. That's the big thing that breaks the state's timeline, as I've talked about in previous videos. And then there was no movement on the phone from 218 to 225. The state wants you to believe that that's when Rick Allen was trying to essay the girls. But it doesn't work because they had to still be on the south side. So my alternate theory was, well, what if the girls were taken to a vehicle that was waiting on the private drive or nearby on the south side of the bridge? And then they were taken and the vehicle travel was 7 minutes. That would not have created movement on the phone unless the road was really, really bumpy. And then it might have counted some steps. And then the 50 meters is the walk from a vehicle to a building, and the phone registering 2 floors was them going upstairs somewhere, like either, you know, upstairs in a house or upstairs in a barn. But it can't be. It can't be. Because this video, the defense says in the motion to correct errors that no other vehicles come by, like between in that time frame. It would have been seen on this camera. It absolutely would have been seen on this camera. And there's only one way out from the south side. You have to go this way. I mean, you know, you zoom in, that's as clear as day. So if a vehicle had passed by here, taking the girls out, it would be on this camera. Could one of those four-wheeler quad bikes be used to cross the shallow part of the creek? You wouldn't need a quad bike. You can walk across. How high is the embankment near Ron Logan's property? I've talked about this so many times. The bank. Okay. Let me just finish my thought on this, and then I'll address that. All right, so the camera's here, right? And it's looking across here. Like those buildings you see are these. All right. So Brad Webber's van passes here, drives up here, goes under the bridge, and then goes to here. All right. But there's only that way out. Like, I don't know if I don't even think it would be possible to drive. I mean, technically, you could drive maybe across there. I doubt you could, though, because this is very wooded and there's no. I don't think you'd get, and it's hilly as well. I mean, look, you're never going to be able to get a vehicle down there, up there, and then come out here onto someone's yard. It's impossible. So I have now closed the door on that particular alternate theory, that the girls were abducted on the south side at 2:18, or what was it? Hold on. There's my thing. Where's my? Yeah, 2:18. So they're abducted at this point here, 2:18-ish, or a little bit before, actually. Let's say 2:14. They're abducted at 2:14, and then they walked a couple of 100 meters to a vehicle, and then it's a 7-minute drive to wherever they go. That theory, it can't work. It cannot work because of this video. So I've put that out of my head. I'm just saying, I've put that out of my head now. Okay, let's address briefly Ron Logan's property. Just to answer that question. All right, now this is what it looked like in 2017. What am I doing? 2017, 2014, 2017. Right. You've got this sandbank here. So I think even if the creek's running high, because obviously this is April 2017, so the water's most probably going to be lower than it would be in February. It's probably running higher in February, but even so, this area here, this sandbank is visible regardless of when you can click all the way through the different views. That's 2012, Sandbanks there. See, that's 2012. That's February 2020, 2012. 14. That's in the summer. 9/14. So that sandbank is a permanent feature. And it's easy to get across here because the bank's shallow. So if you look at the bottom here, the elevation change, middle of the creek, we're looking at the elevation change. We're not looking at the actual number. We're looking at how that number changes. So the elevation is 168 meters if you take the measure from the middle of the creek. And then you get to the bank, it's flat, it's still 168. And then to go up to the crime scene, it only rises about 2 meters, which is about 6.5 feet. But you get past the crime scene, so you walk through the crime scene, it does start to rise. So 71, you have to go right the way past the crime scene for it to start to rise. So if you're looking at this number down here, right? So we've got past the crime scene now, and we're going up the hill, and it rises really fast because this is a steep hill. This hill goes up to Ron Logan's house. So 72, 73, 74, 76, 80, 81, 84, 85, 87, 88, 89, 90. So it's risen a lot. So that's a steep hill. And then you're at the top of the hill then, and then you've got to cross this field, and then Ron Logan's house is here. So to get to the crime scene from the south side, the easiest way is to go down the hill, across here, across this shallow part, and onto the bank. And then to go up to Ron Logan's house, then you start to go up that steep hill. So that's just answering that question. All right, moving on. So my theory that I proposed at some point during the trial, I've crossed that out now. Okay. I'm going to do a big cross on it. That didn't happen. We know that didn't happen. We know that didn't happen because the vehicle that abducted them and took them away would have been caught on the Sandifer's camera. Okay, so back to present day. So that's one theory gone. I like to have theories that have gone. We can draw a line under it. Okay, so we've got two theories now that we can just cross out. The girls weren't abducted from the south side. They weren't abducted from the south side and taken away. Not by a vehicle anyway, or else it would have been caught on the Sandifer's camera. Also, we absolutely can cross out the state's theory based on that confession that Rick Allen made on the 3rd of May 2023 to Monica Waller. I believe Monica Waller put those ideas in his head. We can cross that out. We can absolutely cross that out. Did not happen because of this van turns up at the wrong time, and because Libby's phone data it absolutely does not work. Okay, so we got two theories crossed off. But what does work? Well, enter Ricci Davis. So Ricci Davis was an inmate at, he was an inmate at Newcastle Correctional Facility when Ron Logan was there. Ron Logan was there quite briefly in 2017 on a probation violation, which Nick McClellan got him out of. Nick McClellan got him out of it. All right, so this is what appears in the motion to correct errors. So we've got a tip that came in on May 15th, 2017 by inmate Ricci Davis. This is Ricci. You can't see my cursor, but this is Ricci here with his tattoos. Oh, somebody in my comments, here's something for you sleuths to go and work out. Somebody said in my comments, and I didn't screenshot it, but I'm sure I can find it again if I need to. Someone said, do you think Ricci Davis is throwing the heat onto Ron Logan and Kegan Klein to throw the heat off the Odinists? And I thought, I didn't think of that. I didn't think of that. So is Ricci Davis an Odinist? Is there any evidence to suggest that Ricci Davis is an Odinist? And if so, if he is he involved in the same group of people that have been fingered, for the want of a better word, in the Franks? Now, I don't know the answer to that. I just thought it was an interesting thought, but I don't think so. I don't think Ricci Davis is trying to throw the heat off anybody because of this tip. This tip came in on May 15th, 2017. So years before the public became aware of the Odinists. Unless he was, already planning in May 2017 to throw the heat off the Odinists. Unless he's been doing that all along, which I guess is possible. But the stuff that he talked about, that Ron Logan had supposedly told him, is very compelling. Is very compelling. So this is the tip that it has been there. It's been in the Orion database. So the Orion database is the database that has got all the tips that have come in during the investigation. They're all there. So the state had this information from May 2017. The state had this information, right? The state had this information. They also had the van video. They had that information all along. So Logan confessed to Ricci step by step of killing the two girls. Logan told Ricci how he burnt his clothes in a fire pit, where it was located. We don't know whether anybody ever went to locate that fire pit. And if they did, what was in it? Was there any remains of anything in there? Like, burnt clothes. He was concerned about his boots not burning. So, obviously clothes going to burn easily. But boots, maybe not. Maybe there'd be remnants left. He used box cutters. To stab the girls with. Well, where have we heard that before? Oh, the medical examiner in Rick Allen's trial said that the wounds could have been caused by a box cutter. So how would Ron Logan know that in 2017 to tell Ricci Davis? So I 100% believe Ricci Davis was told these things. I don't think Ricci Davis is making up stories. I do not. Because the information is too specific. The information is too close to what we know now. There's no way Ricci Davis, who had been in prison, could have known this information that has since come out years later. So this tip that was in there in the Orion database since May 2017 has now been corroborated by the information that came out at the trial in 2024. So how could Ricci Davis have known this stuff? Indeed, how could Ron Logan have known this stuff? Well, you could argue Ron Logan was out there busybodying. He's right there. It's on his land. He was talking to all the search parties. Didn't search himself, by the way. Let people search his land, but didn't search himself. So two girls are missing and it's right next to your land where they were last seen. Right, okay, you're not going to go out and search your own land. No, that's not what Ron Logan did, though. Didn't go out and search his own land, no, because he was busy. Because he'd been to the aquarium shop and bought some fish, and he had to stay in to look after his fish. What a ridiculous thing to say. That's what he said. That's what he told Barbara MacDonald. He told Barbara MacDonald he didn't go out. He knew that the search parties were out there, but he didn't go out himself because he had to take care of his fish. So I don't know, set up the tank, and I don't know. I've never had tropical fish. I used to have goldfish, but I've never had tropical fish. So does it take a long time to set up a tank? Do they need care for hours and hours and hours? Couldn't have spared an hour to go and search for the girls. Well, said he stayed in all night. Well, he didn't know. He didn't know, as we'll come on to. Didn't know. All right. So he claims, this is Ron Logan via Ricci Davis. He claims that he took the girls. He persuaded them to go with him, to go to his house to see his animals. Because Abby liked horses, and Ron Logan has horses. He also has rabbits. He has rabbits in his barn. He breeds rabbits. So he persuaded them that, to turn back and go towards his house. However, the eldest one, so Libby, protested. She didn't want to go. Abby did. Abby wanted to go and see the horses. Libby did not, and she protested. She put up a fight. So she punches him in the nose. Punches him in the nose. He gets mad. Now, we know from his ex-girlfriend, we know from people who knew him, that he had a very hot temper. Like, his temper would rise quickly. He'd flip. And apparently, that's what he did, according to this tip from Ricci Davis. Ricci Davis was interviewed in June 2017 and gave the details that Ron Logan told him. And one of those details was Libby punched him in the nose. He got mad, pulled out a box cutter, presumably from his pocket, and stabs her in the neck. Hit an artery. We now know that Libby bled profusely because her artery, a carotid artery that takes blood to the brain, cut your carotid artery, and your blood's going to pump out and you're going to lose consciousness. You're going to lose consciousness very quickly because there's no blood can go to your brain. Actually, you've got carotid arteries on both sides, so you're going to get some blood to your brain. But anyhow, it pumps out. It pumps out. And he then took Abby away from the scene. He takes Abby. We don't know where he takes her or how long he keeps her, but he takes Abby with him. Then he goes to the aquarium shop in Lafayette, about half an hour drive away, to, gather an alibi. Gets his cousin to lie that they were at the aquarium shop during the time when the girls were abducted. Well, how would he know the time the girls were abducted before the girls were even found? You see, it's problematic for Ron Logan. It's actually quite a good job for him that he's dead. But, the cops had nearly 7 years. No, nearly 5 years to get this guy. Was Ron Logan an Odinist? I don't know, and I would like to know that. I really would like to know that. I would like to know if he's got any affiliation with the Odinist groups that were big around those parts. We've heard rumours. That he and Brad Holder knew each other, but I've never been able to confirm it. I've never been able to confirm it. Didn't Shank's daughter pledge loyalty to Ron Logan? Apparently so. So did the prosecutor. So did the prosecutor. Whatever Kathy Shank's family did, the prosecutor himself pledged loyalty to Ron Logan and got him out of prison. That's how he got out of prison. Because when Slick Nick was elected, he got him out of prison. All right, so he took Abby. We don't know where he took Abby and when he brought Abby back. Did he bring Abby back alive, or was she dead by the time he brought her back? Because Abby couldn't stay. Like, he had to kill Abby. Whether he wanted to or not, he had to kill Abby because Abby had witnessed him stabbing Libby in the neck. Sick Nick, yeah. Sick Nick. So it went too far. He didn't mean to kill them. He was just going to take them to his property. For what reason? I don't know. You know, it's like the stranger danger thing that we were told when we were kids. Like, don't go with strangers. Don't, you know, do you want to come see some puppies or kittens and stuff? Some old dirty old man tried that with me when I was about, I don't know, maybe I was about 6. And I was with my friend who was probably about 9, something like that. And this dirty old man came up to us and said, do you want to come and see my kittens? And I was quick-witted, right? I was quick-witted when I was 6. And I said, no, because I'm allergic to cats. As I was at the time. I still kind of am. I'm a lot better. I've had cats, right? And I've been fine with them. But I was really badly allergic to cats at the time. And then he changed his story and said, oh, I meant to say puppies. Do you want to come and see my puppies? And I was like, no, you're all right. You're lying. You're lying. He turned around and went back in his house. Anyhow, you know, it's that kind of thing, isn't it? Do you want to come and see XYZ? And unfortunately, some people fall for it. And I could understand why Abby would have maybe felt comfortable going with him, because she lived nearby. Like, Abby lived near the bridge. So she probably recognized him. And Ron Logan knew Abby's mother. So she probably recognized him and thought it was okay. I did save myself. I've saved myself a good few times in my life. When did the undressing happen? This is a problem. I don't know. I don't know. At what point did Abby acquire Libby's clothes? At what point did Libby become naked? We don't know. Those details are not in this confession. So I don't know. It's a good question. I don't know. But then we've got Ron Logan's phone. Remember, I said that Ron Logan had told Barbara McDonald that he did not go out. No. Well, the Ron Logan search warrant says different. This is directly from, I know it says murder shit on it, but it was them that leaked it. So we know that Ron Logan wasn't at Lafayette at the aquarium store during the time when the girls were on the bridge. We know that Ron Logan's phone at 2:09 was on his property in the vicinity of the bridge. So Ron Logan's house is at the top of the hill, and then you go down the hill on the north side and you can get directly to the bridge. So we know that Ron Logan's phone was on his property in the vicinity of the bridge at 2:09 p.m. So he lied about that. Then the nonsense that he told Barbara McDonald about having to stay in to look after his fish is not true. Because, and this is FBI analysis of Ron Logan's phone. Okay. So 7:56 p.m. Ron Logan's phone was outside of his residence in the proximity of where Abby and Libby's bodies were found the day after. Once again, at 10:16 p.m., his phone was in the vicinity of the crime scene. So either Ron Logan's phone, much like the magic bullet, was able to transport itself to the crime scene, which, you know, I'm gonna have to struggle to believe that the phone was able to transport itself. Where was Richard Allen's phone? Rick Allen's phone was not there. Rick Allen's phone, no, not there, not in the vicinity of the crime scene at all, ever. Okay, got a little timeline here. This puts this in perspective. All right. So we know from the state's analysis of the phone. So Chris Cecil's testimony at trial says that Libby's phone stopped moving at 2:32 p.m. And that was, according to the state, where the phone were. The state says that the phone ended up under Abby's body because Abby was a hero. So while Abby is bleeding out slowly because her carotid artery wasn't cut, it was her jugular vein that was cut. So that's a slow bleed, right? So while she's bleeding out slowly, she has the wherewithal to get Libby's phone from Libby, who is probably dead by this point. And then while she's dying, while she's bleeding out slowly, she places the phone on the ground. Then she puts a shoe on top of it, and then she lies down on top of it. So that's what the state wants you to believe. So where that phone was found, the state want you to believe that that phone was in situ at 2:32. That's when that phone stopped moving. That's what the state wants you to believe. Then, according to the defense phone expert, headphones were plugged into Libby's phone at 5:44 p.m. Now, Chris Cecil, the expert that he is, was able to Google it and found out that actually it could have been water damage. Could have been water damage that caused the headphone jack to signify that headphones have been plugged in. All right, let's talk about water damage. I did say I would be going backwards and forwards here because I've got a slide about water damage. Watch this. All right. Okay. All right. How you can find out if your iPhone has water damage. Hold on. Why is it there? All right. Why is it? Oh, there we go. All right. Find out if your iPhone or iPod has been exposed to water, right? Because I'm such an expert. I'm an expert. I Googled this. And I'm assuming that this is the same information that Chris Cecil got. However, what Chris Cecil didn't tell the jury was that there's a really obvious way you can find out if your phone is playing up because it's got water damage. There's a sensor that comes on. All right, so in the iPhone 6, the iPhone 6 Plus, the iPhone 6S, which is the model Libby had, or the iPhone 6S Plus, right, a light will be activated, like a little sensor, will be activated when it comes into contact with water or liquid containing water. The indicator is inside the SIM card, like where you put your SIM card, right? So you take your SIM card out and you have a look. And oh, look, if it's red, it means that your phone has been in contact with water. So any like effects it's having that are weird, Well, if that sensor's red, it means that your phone's been in contact with water, and the issue that you're having might be because of water damage. That sensor's colour is normally white or silver. When it comes into contact with water or liquid containing water, it turns fully red. It won't be activated because of humidity or temperature changes that are within the product's environmental requirements. So it's right there. Is there anywhere in the state's testimony, anywhere, that says Libby's phone was water damaged? No. Okay, cool. So I think we can conclude the phone was not water damaged. Could it have had a little bit of dirt in it? Yeah, potentially. That wouldn't have tripped this sensor. Yeah, it could have had a little bit of dirt in it. But how come that little bit of dirt magically fell out? How come it magically fell out at 10:32? So a little bit of dirt magically jumps in at 5:44 so that the phone believes that it's got headphones plugged in, and then magically jumps back out at 10:32. I don't understand. So headphones plugged in, 5:44. Ron Logan's phone is near the crime scene at 7:56. Ron Logan's phone is also near the crime scene at 10:16. Interestingly, 15 minutes later, headphones are pulled out. So how do we know that Ron Logan hasn't been messing around that crime scene for a couple of hours? How do we know that? Because it's a little bit of a coincidence, isn't it? It's a little bit of a coincidence that Ron Logan's phone, according to the FBI, not according to some random doing a Google search on the internet, no, according to the FBI, Ron Logan's phone is in the vicinity of the crime scene at 10:16 p.m. 16 minutes later, headphones are removed from Libby's phone. You tell me. Brady enters the chat, everybody. This is Cara Weinecke Law Office. This is Cara Weinecke, who was instrumental in getting that ridiculous decision of Judge Gull overturned. Do you remember when Judge Gull disqualified Brad and Andy? Well, it was Cara and some of her team who got that case to the Supreme Court of Indiana. If you watched it, I've got it somewhere on this channel. I live streamed it. Supreme Court of Indiana had cameras in the courtroom, and we heard Cara's colleague, Mark Lehman, gave a fantastic speech to the Supreme Court justices that ended up overturning Judge Gull's ruling. And that's how Andy and Brad got back on the case. Mark Lehman, incidentally, is one of Rick Allen's appellant attorneys. So when Judge Gull denies the motion to correct error, when she turns that down, then it will go to the appellant court. It goes beyond Judge Gull to the appellant court. And that's when Mark Lehman will come in and act as Rick's appellant lawyer. Anyway, I love this tweet. Mr. Brady versus Maryland has entered the chat. What is Brady? Who is Brady? Who is Brady? And why is it important to highlight that Brady has now entered the chat? Okay. What's a Brady violation? All right. In short, and no, I'm not an expert in law. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer in my country. I'm certainly not a lawyer in the United States. All right. But what I did was a Chris Cecil. I did a Chris Cecil and I Googled it. I know what a Brady violation is, but I Googled it this morning so that I could put a slide in this PowerPoint. Many of you will know what a Brady violation is. So it's named after the case, Brady versus Maryland. It requires prosecutors to disclose material information, even if it's exculpatory to the defendant that they are taking to trial. That's a Brady violation. If they suppress or retain evidence, do not give evidence over that they have collected to the defense because it's exculpatory, that's a Brady violation. All right. And if that information that has been suppressed by the state constitutes something that would have made the jury think differently, well, that's proper serious. That's prosecutorial misconduct. That is enough, in my opinion, enough to overturn a verdict. Because if that information is information that the jury should have known, that the jury would have perhaps, very strongly have come up with a different verdict had that information been known by the defense, that is a very serious Brady violation. Now, I think that the prosecution have been withholding evidence for a long time. I think the prosecution have purposefully hidden, suppressed. Where it's been in the discovery, it's been hidden deeply, almost impossible to search for, and that there is some information that has absolutely been just ignored. I think the prosecution have been doing this all along. All along. Yeah, Andrea Burkhart talked about it on her channel, The Case Brady. State's potential responses, very informative video. Yeah, Andrea Burkhart did a video. I actually only watched it this morning. I don't know when she released it. I think in the last 24 hours anyway. She's doing a walking holiday in South America. She's in Chile at the moment. And she was kind of just walking along, and there's this nice sunset behind her. She's walking along, talking about Brady violations. So, yeah, I recommend it. Go and watch that video. But, yeah, Brady has entered the chat. And this, in my opinion, is a provable Brady violation, in my opinion. Because we now have the latest filing from the defense. And I did a video reading through this motion here. And this is another defense motion. And they want to ensure that the state doesn't throw away or destroy any evidence that might be in its possession relating to the claims made by Ricci Davis. And this is relating to Kegan Klein. Now, look, again, I've never thought Kegan Klein did the murders. I went through a period of time, I must say, where I thought Bridge Guy was Tony Klein. I did. I went through a period of time. This would have been when all the stuff came out about Anthony Shots, was it that end of 2021? I thought, Bridge Guy's Tony Klein. Bridge Guy's Tony Klein. Tony Klein did it. And Kegan Klein is maybe covering up for his dad and then finally confesses that his dad did it. I thought, oh, that's possible. I don't know. However, Andy Baldwin went to see Ricci Davis in prison only a few days ago, February 12th of this year. So what are we on now? February 17th. So 5 days ago, as of today, Andy Baldwin went to see Ricci Davis and was told some stuff by Ricci Davis. And this is what Ricci Davis told Andy Baldwin. That Ricci Davis was in a unique position that not only had he shared some time in the same pod at Newcastle as Ron Logan, he's also now in the same institution as Kegan Klein. So he's now rubbing shoulders with Kegan Klein. And Kegan Klein got proper nervous when he realised that Ricci Davis had spoken in the past to Ron Logan. So Ricci Davis, was in the unique position of having met both Kegan Klein and Ron Logan during their stays at Newcastle Correctional Facility. I don't know if Klein's still there at Newcastle. I don't know whether he didn't move. I don't remember. Anyhow, when he was at Newcastle, he came into contact with Ricci Davis and they had some interesting chats. So Ricci Davis talked with Ron Logan about the Delphi murders on multiple occasions, as we know, in 2017. Over the course of time, Logan confessed to his involvement in the murders along with 2 other people. So Ricci Davis is claiming that Logan told him that he didn't do this crime alone, that there were 2 other people involved. During those conversations, Logan provided certain details of the crime that only the actual killer would know, but never divulged who the other 2 people were who were involved. So we know, based on the information that Ricci Davis called into the tip line in May 2017, that absolutely Ron Logan knew details that only the killer would know, such as Libby was stabbed in the artery in her neck. We know that. We know that for a fact now. A box cutter could have been used as the murder weapon. We know that now. How would Ron Logan know those things in May of 2017 if he wasn't involved somehow, somewhere? All right. In or around March 2024, so about a year ago, Kegan Klein was placed in the same general area as Ricci Davis, and at some point learned that Ricci Davis had talked to Ron Logan while Logan was in Newcastle in 2017. Over time, Kegan Klein started to, shall we say, open up to Ricci Davis about how concerned he was, started questioning Ricci Davis about what he actually knew, what Ron Logan had told him, whether Ron Logan had ever mentioned him, Kegan Klein, during their conversations. Now, I don't know whether this is just Ricci's own opinion, but Ricci Davis began to realise, or at least suspect, that Klein may have been one of the other members of the crew that Logan described as being involved in the murders. I think maybe because he was taking so much of an interest, and did Logan mention me? It would be natural to assume that if Klein's behaving like loads of questions, like really nervous, that you think, were you involved? Why are you so nervous about it? Were you involved? Over time, Kegan Klein began to reveal information about the Delphi murders that corroborated details Ron Logan had revealed to him several years earlier. Now, here's my question. Because this is now 2024 and a lot's been said over the years, could it be that Kegan Klein is trying to make himself relevant, like trying to be like more scary than he actually is, and trying to implicate himself in this notorious crime for some kind of like or kudos, brownie points, whatever? Because Kegan Klein's a liar. We know Kegan Klein's a liar. So I don't think Ricci Davis is lying. I think Ricci Davis is recounting what he's been told. My question would be, how much did Kegan Klein feed to Ricci Davis that isn't true? I mean, is it the case that Kegan Klein revealed details that only the killer would know? Or at least somebody intimately connected with that crime scene would know? Or is it possible, given this is 2024, is it possible that Kegan Klein has done his own research and has found out stuff that he can now feed to people like Ricci Davis? I'm not sure. These conversations between Ricci Davis and Kegan Klein occurred all the way up to the guilty verdict, at which time Klein expressed his relief that he would no longer be a viable suspect in the murders due to Rick Allen's conviction. It's 2025, I know, but this conversation happened in March 2024. So we're talking like a year ago that he started to talk to Ricci Davis about a year ago. That Kegan Klein was moved to the area where Ricci Davis was in March 2024. And that's when they became acquainted. And then over time, Kegan Klein has kept asking Ricci Davis questions, which made Ricci Davis suspicious that Kegan Klein might have been one of the people who was involved together with Ron Logan. So I could understand why Kegan Klein would be relieved that Rick Allen was convicted, because, you know, look, 11 days after the murders, Kegan Klein's house was raided because of Anthony shots. They knew that Libby had been communicating with Kegan Klein via Anthony shots. So they raided their house, his and Tony Klein's house. Kegan Klein has been on the radar since 11 days after the murders. So, yeah, he's probably going to be relieved that somebody else is now been convicted for it. Oh, thank you, Krista. That's so kind of you for the $49.99. You're so generous. Thank you. It does. It prompts more questions. There's so many questions that this, like my mind is like, I don't know, it's got to expand to a point now to hold all these people who potentially are credible suspects now. Now, Ricci Davis, Andy Baldwin went to meet with Ricci Davis last year, but Ricci Davis didn't want to talk to him because he thought that Rick Allen might be one of the other people. So it might have been Ron Logan, Kegan Klein, and Rick Allen, and he didn't want to help Rick Allen's defense team at that time. But he now knows that Rick Allen wasn't involved, so he's now willing to work with the defense. But I don't know about Kegan Klein. I mean, look, I don't know that Kegan Klein is the type of person who's going to be running up and down those hills. Do you think? Kegan Klein is the kind of pervert that sits behind a keyboard and gets his kicks by chatting up young girls. That's what his crimes are all about. I'm not sure that Kegan Klein would have been at that crime scene running up and down those hills. It doesn't feel to me like he's the kind of person that would do that. Seems like a bit too much of an effort for him. However, what I am prepared to think is that maybe Ron Logan and Kegan Klein work in communication because of their, let's say, shared interest in young girls. And it's true that Kegan Klein was sharing child porn with Ron Logan. And maybe Kegan Klein got the girls there from the comfort of his own home via Anthony shots, and then communicated with Ron Logan afterwards to, let's say, reminisce or something about the murders. So he knows stuff. He knows stuff about the murders, but he wasn't directly there. I don't know. That's just what I'm kind of thinking at the moment. That's what I'm thinking at the moment. But who's the third person? Who's the third person? Now, I'm not willing to let Elvis Fields go. I'm going to tell you, as I said yesterday, I'm not willing to let Elvis Fields go. Yeah, I do. I'll talk about Elvis in a minute. So the latest that we've heard from Ricci Davis is that Max Lewis, who is a reporter from Fox 59, tried to get an interview with Ricci Davis, but the prison wouldn't let him for security concerns. Okay, security concerns. But Ricci did write a long letter, which I read yesterday. So the link to this letter is in the description box of this video. Or you can go and watch yesterday's live stream and have a laugh at me trying to read this. I think is very difficult to read handwriting. You might disagree. You might be able to read it really easily. But like I said, I'm not willing to let Elvis Fields go. This is Elvis Fields. All right. He's one of the people that was named in the Franks memo. But I've always taken a particular interest in Elvis Fields because of his confession. Several confessions. So shall we reacquaint ourselves with the confessions that Elvis Fields made? Yes, let's. During our investigation, we learned that this is Todd Click's report. This is Todd Click's words. Todd Click being one of the 3 law enforcement officers who worked on the Odinist theory of the case. During our investigation, we learned that on February 14th, 2017, February 14th, 2017, so the day after the murders, before the girls were even found, Elvis Fields was talking. I can't let that go. I cannot let that go. A man named Elvis Fields in Rushville, Indiana, which is like 100 miles away from Delphi, though, was rambling, hyper and borderline incoherent. He was talking about having a brother and was part of a gang now. This is to his sister. He's rambling to his sister, Mary. Elvis told his sister, Mary Jacobs, that he'd been on a bridge with 2 girls that were killed. How would he know that 2 girls had been killed? Like on a bridge or near a bridge. How would he know that? How would he know that? He's 100 miles away. The news hasn't even broke yet about these girls walking on the bridge and then being abducted and being murdered. That wasn't known yet. How did Elvis Fields know that? I can't let this go. I'm sorry. I cannot let this go. Elvis told her that someone named Abigail was a troublemaker. How did he know her name? How did he know one of the girls' names was Abigail? So he'd given her horns. She said Elvis tried to give her a blue jacket. After Elvis made these statements to her, she later became aware of the Delphi murders and put 2 and 2 together. So she went to Delphi to report this. She did a polygraph and passed. But Elvis Fields, yes, he's been questioned, but nothing's ever come of it. But there's more. Then, a few months later, in October 2017, he's now living with his other sister. So he's now talking to his other sister, Joyce. Elvis moved in with his other sister, Joyce, following the death of her boyfriend. On October 23rd, 2017, Elvis told her the following. I am in a lot of trouble. I am going away for a long time. I was on that trail and that bridge with those girls when they were murdered. There were 2 other people there with me when it happened. I spit on one of the girls. So we've now got that there was 2 people, like Ricci Davis, who is tucked away and has been tucked away for years in Newcastle Correctional Facility, tells us that Ron Logan told him that he was involved with 2 other people. We've got Elvis Fields completely separate, telling his sister in October 2017 that he was involved with 2 other people. Now, I'm sorry. This is not a coincidence. I'm sorry. There is something here that is very, very wrong. So we got Logan in Delphi talking to Ricci Davis in May 2017 that, yeah, he was involved, gives details that only the killer would know, and says that there's 2 other people involved. We've got Elvis Fields, 100 miles away in Rushville, tells his sister Mary on the day that the girls were found, before it was even on the news, that he was on the bridge with someone called Abigail and these girls were murdered, tells his other sister that he was involved, he's going away for a long time, and that there's 2 other people there with him. Come on now. Come on now. You don't need to be Sherlock Holmes, do you? This is a problem. Elvis Fields was living in Rushville. Elvis Fields lied about his alibi for the day of the murders. Elvis Fields lied about his alibi, but he's living in Rushville. So how has he got 100 miles to Delphi? Was he staying at Ron Logan's, for example? Thank you, Lisa, for being a member for 27 months. Going to be on Replay Crew. Thank you for being a member for all that time. Come on. Come on now. All right, we got more. We got more. Okay. So, February 27th, 2018, he's interviewed. Right? He's interviewed by Kevin, what's his name? Murphy. I think he's Kevin Murphy, who is one of the Odin investigators. We got Todd Click, we got Murphy, and then we've got Greg Ferenczi, who was murdered in 2021 by a corrections officer. Can't make this up, can you? All right. And the Odin investigation stopped once Greg Ferenczi had been murdered. All right. Just throwing the odd murder here and there, people who are getting too close. All right, so during this interview on February 27th, 2018, Elvis agreed to take a mouth swab that will be used for DNA. Holman, Jerry Holman, and Murphy explained the purpose of the mouth swab with Elvis. So Elvis was aware that the DNA from the mouth swab would be compared to any DNA from the crime scene. At the conclusion of the interview, Murphy dropped Elvis off at his trailer. After Elvis exited the police vehicle and walked towards his trailer, Elvis turned round before entering his house and walked back to Murphy's vehicle. When Elvis came near the squad car, Elvis posed the question, what would happen if his spit was found on one of the girls, but he has an explanation? Would he still be in trouble? So tells his sister that he spit on one of the girls and she was a troublemaker, so he gave her horns. Then, a few months after that, in 2018, tells a law enforcement officer who has questioned him and taken DNA, well, would I be in trouble if I could explain why my spit was on one of the girls? And we found out at trial that we've got unknown male DNA at the crime scene that has never been tested. Come on now. Come on now. What's going on here? What's going on here? So I posed the question, is it possible that Elvis Fields and Ron Logan knew each other? I have no idea whether there's any connection at all between them. But it's incredibly compelling that both of these men living 100 miles away from each other both state that they're involved in the murders with two other people. Elvis must be one of those tentacles. So could it be that Kegan Klein, is it possible? Look, I know Elvis Fields is an innocent man. He's innocent till proven guilty in a court of law and all that stuff, but his name's out there. Is it possible that Elvis Fields, Ron Logan, and Kegan Klein had a shared interest? Let's just put it that way, a shared interest, and that's how they knew each other. Is it possible that Kegan Klein set up the girls so that, you know, they knew that the girls were going to be there? And then Elvis Fields, Ron Logan, and maybe someone else, because can we include Kegan Klein? If Kegan Klein's not physically there, could we include him? You know, he could just be the fixer. He could just be the fixer, getting the girls there. Because isn't it a coincidence that Anthony Shots is communicating with Libby on the morning that she goes to the bridge where she's murdered? So Elvis Fields, Ron Logan, and maybe someone else directly there at the time. And then you've got Kegan Klein, who's the fixer. I don't know. Listen, it's more compelling than the state's theory that is provably wrong with the state's own witnesses and the state's own evidence. It's provably wrong. The state's theory, based on this fly-by-night confession that Rick Allen supposedly made to Monica Waller, let me just find it again, on the 3rd of May, 2017. Oh, and also, if Ron Logan did this on his own, can we just explain these sticks? Can we explain these sticks? Can we explain that? Like, somebody connected to Ordinism surely arranged these sticks. Because that's a flaming weird way to leave two murdered girls. I'm sorry. All right. But it's wholly more plausible than this fly-by-night ridiculous confession told to Monica Waller on May the 3rd, 2023. Monica Waller is a state actor. She is someone who is in the Delphi group. She's a Delphi fangirl. She's put the idea about the van in Rick Allen's head because that van has been known since 2017 when Kay Webber, Brad Webber's mother, came out and told social media about it. I've got a load of text messages that I need to put in here from Kay Webber. There's all sorts that came out. But it's provably false because the van, we now know, did not come under the Mourne High Bridge before 2:30. It was 2:44 when it was caught on the Sandifer's camera. We also know that Libby's phone data absolutely cannot work based on this theory. It just cannot work. So the idea that Ron Logan, Elvis Fields, the two men who've confessed, with way more compelling stories, both of them living 100 miles away from each other, say that they were involved with two other people. We've got Kegan Klein, who was communicating with Libby on the day she's murdered. Come on now. What more do you need? Oh, they were all communicating via burner phones. So, you know, they hand their phones in and they've actually got burner phones. Maybe that's one of the things that Ron Logan dumped when he went to Lafayette. Because we know he went to Lafayette. Because there's a receipt from the aquarium store at 5:21. So we know he went to Lafayette. So is it possible that Ron Logan went on that trip, got his cousin to lie, you know, saying that they went earlier when actually they didn't? Ron Logan took a trip to Lafayette to dump some burner phones. How about that? And to create an alibi. Do you think that Ron Logan could have taken one or both the girls with him in the car ride, the aquarium store, or hid him on his property? If Ron Logan did it, I think Libby died there. I think Libby died there. There's good evidence that Libby actually died there, because there's blood pools, there's blood spatter that's all Libby's blood. So if Ron Logan got angry and stabbed her, I think she died there. Tried to move her, but couldn't move her. So there is evidence that she's been moved. I think Abby was taken away alive. I think Abby was walked away alive and maybe kept at Ron Logan's house. That's just where I'm at the moment. And Ron Logan went out to create the alibi, to dump the phones, to dump things that could not be burnt. And maybe one of the other people who was involved looked after Abby whilst Ron Logan went and did that. That's way more convincing than this tosh that they got the jury to believe to convict a man who has absolutely no evidence against him. Richard Allen, this man here, there is absolutely no evidence against him. Nothing. No DNA, no fingerprints. You've got the unspent round, which the state's own expert could not say 100% came from his weapon without firing it. So you're comparing an apple with an orange. And she also couldn't exclude other weapons of the same caliber. No one saw him. All these witnesses who supposedly saw him did not describe, Rick Allen did not describe 5'4" Rick Allen. They saw a tall man, at least 5'10". Betsy Blair saw a young man. Who's the young man that she saw on Morning High Bridge? Who's that? Is he the third person? We've got Teresa Liebert, who saw a man like hanging around, like looking mysterious at some point in the morning. That's on the south side. Who's that? Who are these people? And why was none of that told at the trial? Why were the sketches not allowed to be shown to the jury? One of the sketches, the young guy sketch, that Betsy Blair said is at 10 out of 10, 100%, the young man she saw. But no. We have to believe, and the jury did believe, that it was Rick Allen that did it. 5'4" Rick Allen on his own with a box cutter. Come on now. I'm not having it. It's ridiculous. Yeah, Elvis said Abby was the troublemaker. Abigail. So could it be that Elvis Fields was tasked with looking after Abby, and maybe she was giving him some trouble? Maybe she was giving him some, I don't know, some cheek or something. So he gave her horns. I don't know. It makes me mad. It makes me so mad I start losing my voice when I've talked about Delphi. Abby's boyfriend denied knowing her at first. Yes. Abby's boyfriend is another person who could have got the girls to the bridge. Logan Holder, who is the son of Brad Holder, knew that they were going to the bridge that day. He could have been one of the people who persuaded them to go there. I don't know. There's so many people who could have had some knowledge. I'm not saying actually did it, but had some knowledge of it. It was actually Brad Holder. It was Brad Holder that denied knowing Abby. It wasn't. It actually wasn't Logan. Now, I don't know whether Logan said that he didn't know her very well or he'd only met her once, or blah, blah, blah. But Brad Holder So Logan Holder's dad completely denied knowing Abby. Then admitted to seeing her once. Then admitted that she was at Patrick Westfall's house one day when he was there. So Logan had took her to Patrick Westfall's house. So, mate, that one makes sense. But yet we're all expected to believe that 5'4" Richard Allen murdered 2 girls on a Monday afternoon with a box cutter. And yet you've got all these other people who seem to be, evidence against them. They've confessed to very compelling stories. They've got the motivation. And yet it's 5'4" Richard Allen who is now in prison for 130 years. Yeah, Brad Holder, who is friends with Slickner. Yes, we showed the lovely little pictures. Yeah. For those that don't know, Slickless Nicholas got his Master Mason degree from Tipton Lodge. Tipton Lodge is the Masonic lodge that Brad Holder is the senior steward of. So Brad Holder and Nick know each other. I've done videos about it. I'm not saying it's a Masonic crime. I'm just saying they know each other. They know each other from a shared interest in Masonry. What would be the motivation for these guys? Well, we've got Ron Logan and Kegan Klein, who have got an interest in young girls in that way. We've got Elvis Fields, who wants to be a Vinlander. We've got Patrick Westfall, who can't stand anybody who has relationships outside of their own race. We've got people who are just downright nasty. Was Ron Logan a Mason? I've heard he is, but I've never seen any proof of it. Yeah, Brad Holder had a picture on his YouTube. It was actually on his Facebook of girls staged like the way the girls were found. Let me show you. I'll show you that picture. Like Brad Holder. Brad Holder. Hold on. Can you still hear me? I think I just kicked myself out. Hold on. Oh, no. I'm still here. It's all right. I thought I kicked myself out of StreamYard. All right, just a minute. Let me show you. Let me show you this picture. Sure, I've got it. Please hold. I'll just go through my file. You see, you've got some people who are just violent. They've got a violent nature, and they use an ideology like Odinism in a way to justify the violence that they want to commit. You know, you've got some people who've got a bloodlust, and it's not sexual, they've just got a bloodlust, and they fantasize about committing heinous crimes and then they make an excuse. Oh, I think I just passed it. No, I didn't. Oh, come on. It'll be the last picture. It'll be the very last picture, I can guarantee it. I got too many pictures in this file. Oh, there it is. No, it's not. Oh, I'll show you these though. Hold on. Hold on. Let me just pull them out. Ready to show you. Oh, there's the K Weber texts. Come on. I only saw it like a day ago. I definitely got it. There's Logan. I'll show you that as well. See, there's people who just assume Rick Allen was guilty who are now taking an interest in the possibility that actually he might not be. So you've got new people all the time coming in who are now willing to actually look at this, even though there are plenty of people who've been talking about this for well over a year. Oh, come on. Thank you, I Spy, for the £10. That's very kind of you. Thank you, thank you. Come on. Jesus Christ. How many pictures have I got? Loads. Oh, we've got this one. That's. I think that's one that many people have seen already, though. Oh, God. Come on, man. Got it? No. I've got that screen. There we go. Got it. All right. All right. After all that, okay. Let's load these in. All right. So we have got there's Nick. There's Nick. Can you see him? You can't. Yeah, you can see him. There's Nick. And Tipton Lodge, Free and Accepted Masons, Logan Sport, Indiana. Congratulations to Brother Nick McClelland, a member of Mount Zion Lodge, for receiving his Master Mason degree this evening at Tipton Lodge. Okay, all right. So who's the senior steward at Tipton Lodge? Oh, look, it's Brad Holder. Tipton Lodge, Free and Accepted Masons. Congratulations to Levi Holder receiving the sublime degree of Master Mason, son of senior steward Brad Holder. Tipton Lodge, the very place where Nick McClelland gets his Master Mason degree. Brother Nick, from the same lodge that Brad Holder is a senior steward at. All right, there's that. Here's Logan Holder and Abby. And then we've got this picture It's not an actual crime scene. This is people pretending, I think. But this was on Brad Holder's Facebook that people called in about when Abby and Libby were murdered. Like, loads of people called in about Brad Holder being a problem. And one of the pictures was this. But mysteriously, it disappeared. It disappeared from Brad Holder's Facebook. Brad Holder denied it. And then it was some sleuth who'd saved it. Some sleuth saved it and then gave it to the defense. So what have we got here? 2 girls, 1 girl, 2 girls. Not in exactly the same positions that Abby and Libby were found in, except this one seems to have a leg tucked in, the same that Abby had a leg tucked in, and they're covered in sticks. Slightly different, but still, isn't it strange? I find it strange. But yet, we're expected to believe that 5'4" Richard Allen did that for no reason whatsoever with a box cutter and put sticks on them. Yeah, look at the position of the girl above. Yes. Yeah. Leg tucked in, exactly like Abby. This is a bit different than the way Libby was laid out. Sticks are slightly different, but still in the woods, 2 girls with sticks on them. Hands are up too, yeah. Yeah. Is it any wonder why that disappeared from Brad Holder's social media? Very strange. All right, so there's a lot of food for thought for you, isn't it? For those of you who've constantly believed that Rick Allen was it, that Rick Allen was the guy, that they've got the right guy in prison, there is so much information that the jury did not see, that the defense were not allowed to present, that is incredibly compelling. And more continues to come out. So I think we're going to hear a lot more from Ricci Davis. I think we're going to hear some stuff that maybe starts to tie things together. But I think the next thing that we're really, really waiting for is, are the state going to respond? Are the state going to respond to this latest set of motions that the defence put out? Are they going to respond? And if so, it's going to be enlightening. Are the state going to be able to give a logical explanation for these things, or have they committed a Brady violation that they can't get out of? We don't know. And then what's Judge Gould going to do? The motion to correct errors, there's several things she could do. She could either vacate Rick Allen's conviction completely. Doesn't mean he's a free man. He just vacates the conviction and the state have got to do it all again. I don't think that's going to happen, do you know? She could have a hearing and let both sides present their information. She could deny without hearing, which I think is what she's going to do, or she could just completely ignore it, which accounts to the same thing. It accounts to the same thing. If that's the case, then it's heading on over to the appellate court, and the case is then in Mark Lehman's hands. Deny, deny, deny. Absolutely. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it there for today. A lot to think about. There's some really interesting things coming out if people want to dig in. The channel Case by Case, so it's Case X Case, so Case by Case. She's been in communication with Ricci Davis. She's got some interesting stuff coming out. True Grit Crime has also got some interesting stuff coming out. The long lives, though, I know some of you watch my channel don't like the really long lives, they go for like 4 hours, but they're very, very interesting. So those 2 channels I highly recommend to head on over and just have a dip in and see what you find compelling, because there's some really interesting stuff going on. So this case is not over by any stretch of the imagination, but it's going to be a long road for Rick Allen, and it's absolutely mortifying that an innocent man is in a maximum security prison for 130 years. 130 years. All right, guys. Thank you for joining me. And as always, thank you to the mods. Thank you to those that donated. I don't think I had any new members, did I? I don't think so. Let me just double check. No, I didn't have any new members. But yeah, please do consider subscribing if you like this channel and you're not yet subscribed. Please do try to get me up to 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year. It's just my personal mission. So on that note, let me play out with everybody's favorite tune here. Take it away, Andy.
It's time for you guys to start being journalists.
Before an angry Andrew Baldwin left the courthouse, 13 News overheard him speaking to Richard Allen's wife, saying, "It ain't over. The world's watching. The world sees what's going on."